Welcome back, everybody, to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, where we bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside market potential. And today we are back with Hoth Therapeutics, HOTH, on NASDAQ, and the CEO, Rob. Rob, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate you having us today. Much appreciated.
So I know you're at the Boston, the Bio Conference, the big where it's, I guess, the who's who of the biotech industry is in Boston this week. I'm going to ask you about that in just a second. I know we only have a few minutes with you because you got back-to-back meetings. I wanted to catch up with you. There's a couple of major milestones that the company, I don't know if they're major, but they're very significant milestones from last week that maybe the market didn't quite understand, because I thought those things were really potentially game changers. So the first one is, expanded access for HT001, right? You want to tell us about what's the significance of that?
Yeah, so HT001, as we mentioned, we're already in the clinic with. This is the first drug that's trying to treat chemotherapy rash. As we mentioned, up to 90% of patients get chemo rash. 39% of patients have to stop chemo rash. So the trial's ongoing, but what we decided to do is apply for expanded access. Why? Because we were getting calls from docs who aren't in the trial saying, how do I get this for my patient? My patient is suffering. Is there a way for us to try the drug? So what's called expanded access, which is compassionate care. So those would be patients who are not enrolled in the trial, and a doc can come to us and say, hey, Hoth Therapeutics, we hear you have this great drug. We saw some of the trial results. Is there a way for my patient to get this drug? So what we're doing is we hired a company to help us apply with the FDA and now bring this to patients that aren't in the trial, and under the Compassionate Care and Right to Try Act, these patients can then utilize the drug to help them while they're going through chemotherapy. So think about that. We open up to more patient population who aren't in the trial, gives us real data, obviously, the patients that are treated. And what it really does is gives patients, that compassionate care to try to give them the opportunity to use HT001, even if they're not in the trial.
Okay. And how does this really accelerate, your path to, commercialization for the drug?
Sure. So that's a great question. I think twofold. One, obviously, it brings it to a larger population, right? So it can give us even more data to go to the FDA with and say, hey, look at this. We treated these patients. They had, X result. Judging by the signals that we've had for the trial that so far is being successful, this further data helps us move at a quicker pace. Not only that, it puts us on the radar of a lot more docs, a lot more investigators who, can come and, testify on our behalf on the drug. It also opens up to other partners, of course, because they see more patients being, utilizing the drug and having further access to it.
Okay, so based on that, I think the main thing what this will do for this expanded access, really, it's a catalyst. It's really, I'm looking at it from the investor's perspective. I think this is a catalyst for really, for the stock to, for really an increase in valuation, because now you can attract potential partners. Not only you're going to have data, but also potential, drug development partners. There's a lot of.
I think the trial itself, and now applying for the expanded access and getting more patients in the more patient population and more docs behind it. Because like I said, I've gotten calls from docs in Sarasota, Florida, docs in California saying, how do I get my patient this? They're miserable. Is there a way to utilize, HT001? And I have to refer them, hey, you're not a trial site. Unfortunately, we can't give it to you, even under the compassionate care. But applying for this and going to the FDA and saying, hey, we want to give this opportunity to patients, I think it puts it, first and foremost, it puts us right center in an area that's being underserved, that the patient population needs something. The other part of it, obviously, gives us data, and then partners who see us treating these patients and hopefully being successful will come to us and want to do something quicker.
Okay, and I think, look, the main, I guess the real investment thesis here is that, Hoth, the company's got multiple shots on goal, right? You got five programs, five programs, each going after potential multi-billion-dollar market opportunities. So this is one of them. The chemo rash. This is number one. So last week you made progress really on two fronts. You got HT001, right? Am I saying it right? 001?
HT001, yep.
HT001. And also you got the Japanese patent for HT kit, which also I think when did that news come out? On Friday? Again the market just.
So what's interesting, you bring that up, and we're at Bio in Boston, and we're meeting with it's funny, I've got about 4 Japanese pharmaceutical companies that we're meeting with. We're showing them HT kit and going to them to be able to say, hey, we just got a patent in your home country, expires in 2039, gives us more patent protection, right? So it gives them more ease if they're looking for, to partner with you, that you've got IP that's enforceable for them. So, Asia is a big market. We love to be there. We love to find a partner for any and all of our drugs, in Asia as well. So this is obviously very helpful to have that patent and have that in our back pocket where it expands our IP.
Okay, and no, so it's a big deal. Now, in terms of, so you're at the Bio conference, right now this week, right? That's probably why we're getting like this bad connection. It's probably a lot of people using their Wi-Fi or something.
It is packed. We've had back-to-back meetings. You can tell I'm exhausted. We were going yesterday from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. Back-to-back meetings with potential partners. So, folks who wanted to be educated on our different drugs in our pipeline. So it was so far really successful, and we'll continue that this whole week. So we're pretty excited about the reception. I think we had over 150 requests for meetings.
Okay, that's
big number. Yeah,
no,
big number.
Again, you're relatively a small company. I mean, in the whole scheme of
small
things,
company. Yeah,
so that's a lot of So what?
A lot of interest.
Okay, I'm curious. So of the 5 programs that you have, which one do you see getting kind of the most traction or the most interest from potential partners right now?
Really interesting. HT001 obviously got quite a few meetings, but we've had meetings for HT004, which we haven't talked about in a while. It's our gene editing or asthma program that we have preclinical on. We had yesterday 2 meetings alone for that drug. And the HT kit, we had a boatload of meetings obviously scheduled for our oncology drug. That's our mast cell tumor drug that we've had really good preclinical work. We're waiting on some further preclinical tox studies that we're hoping to get in short order.
Okay, now let me ask you this: in terms of, just for investors, just to give them an idea of the point of, you're having these meetings. Like, where does this go? In other words, can you explain, like, in terms of, are you meeting with potential partners who might, let's say, I don't know, partner with you? They'll put up, I don't know, they'll give you, let's call it, I don't know, $10 million, and they get a piece of the drug. Like, how does this work? What are you looking for?
Great questions, right? So you have some companies who want specific regions. So if you could think of the Japanese potential partners, right? They're looking for Asia. They're not maybe interested in the U.S. rights. And then you have many U.S. companies that are looking, hey, we want to partner with you for the drug, period, not just rights in a certain, demographic or, geographic area. We want to just have the rights to the drug. So you get all different folks. And what does that mean really dollar-wise, right? So potentially you could have somebody who wants to fund your trial and give you milestones and give you money up front. I think there was a company today that's being bought by Eli Lilly. I think Eli Lilly originally gave them upwards of $20 million to start, and then $1 billion milestone payments. And they're buying them today, I think, for a couple $1 billion. I think the stock doubled or tripled today. I'm not sure, but I did see that, and folks were talking about it here at the conference. So I think it's usually a good step when you get that partner, credibility-wise, also to have that partner who can shepherd you through the FDA process.
Yeah, so I think I think you mentioned, I think, a few things here which are really important, right? So getting that partner who puts up that cash, again, it adds credibility. If you get, again, like a Lilly, whoever it is, I mean, again, your programs, they will have different specialized pharma companies, but if you get that partner, not only does it put cash in the bank, it adds credibility. It helps you get through the FDA. So really, it really accelerates the entire process.
It's more than just cash. It's expertise through the clinical trial. Not that I think we have great experts.
Yeah.
But the Mercks, the Amgens, the Lillys of the world, they have teams whose sole purpose is to shepherd you through the FDA process. these business development folks who are experts on this. And I think they do a good job doing due diligence and trying to find potential new therapeutics based on the areas they're going after, whether it's immunology or whatever it might be, or oncology. So we think, we've had a lot of meetings, as I said yesterday. We continue them this week, and we'll continue to, try to work and find the right partners for, and the right, for the right drugs for that.
Okay, yeah, it's very interesting. So this is where all the deals in the biotech industry happen this week. It's kind of like in the movie industry they have that famous the Cannes show in France.
Right.
And this is where okay, you want to do a movie with Sylvester Stallone, you want to get it financed. That's where you go to get the partners. You want to sell the rights to, I don't know, Asia. One guy buys the rights for the Middle East. The other guy buys for Europe, and you fund the whole. And then the next thing. Okay, so same thing in biotech. Okay, very interesting. Let me ask you this. So speaking of all these deals happening this week. So Hoth is in a very good position in terms of you're a public company in the biotech space. You got 10 million in cash in the bank right now, which is rare. The IPO window is pretty much closed for biotech. We were kind of in a bear market, right? In a normal market,
it's been very tough for biotech, 100%.
So yeah, in a normal market, in a decent market, a stock like Hoth right now would be trading at, I don't know, let's call it $5 to $10. Because we're in a bear market, we're like 75, 80% discount. So at the same time, though, are you able to find? I mean, I know you have 5 programs right now, but do you see any potential, I don't know, acquisition opportunities or other M&A opportunities based on your position?
No, we're always being shown assets all the time. It's a question of dollars spent, right? Where do you want to allocate your dollars? Do we want to allocate them towards 001, 004, HD kit? So we're really trying to go and say where our dollars are best spent. I think I said this to you before.
You did, yeah. You have the AI program.
Yeah, so we kind of use Marable AI, which is our wholly owned, right? And we feed it and say, hey, these are the programs we're working on. Where should we allocate dollars? We're going to get our biggest bang for buck, potential partners, quickest data, and patient population that needs it. So we kind of go through that. And I think our current programs that we have are great. And we want to kind of stick to our knitting on those before we go out and do anything else.
Okay, but good. But you never know. I mean, you're at the place where
like I said, we're approached all the time.
Right. No, I mean, again, you're in a very good position. It's what you have is optionality. That's the key thing. You have altitude and optionality, which is critical. I mean, for companies in the discovery space, right? That's a big deal. Yeah, because a lot of there's a lot of these companies that have great stories, but they're running out of cash. They're low on altitude, and that's pretty much game over for those guys. So you're in a great place. So the stock is moving up. I think we're getting a breakout on the stock. I think from a technical standpoint, I think if we go above $1.35, we might hit like $2, and then I think it's escape velocity at that point. I mean, there's really no technical resistance after we break $2.
Our focus is every day trying to execute, bring these programs to market, get patients enrolled, right? We know if we deliver on our part, we feel pretty confident.
Yeah, the stock will take care of itself, I think. Yeah, but I'm looking again from the investor's perspective. So it looks to me like the market is finally starting to. I guess the takeaway is the stock action. It shows me the market is starting to kind of understand a little bit better what the Hoth story is about, and I think there's still a lot more to go. As investors, get clarity on the upside potential, on how on the path to commercialization, where you are with these 5 programs. I think we could see more upside in the stock.
Yeah, I think our goal is talking to yourself, going to conferences, being very present, so the investment community knows more about Hoth Therapeutics, so they could do an evaluation on what we're working on.
Absolutely, Rob. Let's wrap up with. I know you got a meeting coming up. What can investors? What kind of news flow? I mean, again, you got some milestones last week. What can we expect from Hoth?
I think next week we're holding our KOL event with Dr. Friedman, Dr. Zippin. Dr. Friedman is an investigator in the trial. Dr. Zippin is vice chair of dermatology at Weill Cornell. And they're going to talk a little bit about the trial, a little bit about investigator-led studies, and about the drug itself, how it works, and the need for it. So I think that'll be interesting for investors, potential partners, and folks who are just interested, even patient advocates, to get educated on what's going on with H2001 and update the market. And
Okay.
that's June 24th.
June 24th. So that is okay. So that's next week.
Week from today.
A week from today. Okay, perfect. So this, look, the bottom line is, this thing is moving forward. And again, we have a lot of, we get a lot of, new investors. We get a lot of new investors always watching on the program, and they're not familiar with kind of how the biotech valuations work. And maybe can you explain, because again, you have a long investment background before you got into with Hoth, but explain to investors, like, the idea is you don't, the value creation. In other words, the path for Hoth to potentially be a $10 stock. You don't need to have a drug approved. I mean, explain the path to get there based on milestones and how we.
You see a ton of preclinical, companies selling at much higher valuations than we are, both on the New York and the NASDAQ. So there's no doubt about that. And I think, as we present more data, preclinical and human, I think that opens up, the valuation equation for investors to see, what we're providing, how fast we're moving. And, I think that really, are game changers, as I said, in providing that kind of data to the marketplace.
Rob, I think you said something very, very important, which is, you mentioned, how you want the market to see how fast you're moving, right? I think that's absolutely critical for stocks. A lot of companies don't understand is the velocity. I always talk about this. The velocity is the key thing. You got to have that. The market. What is it? Money loves speed, right? Money loves speed. The market loves to see momentum, velocity, and right now you're showing with this news flow, these milestones, people are beginning to see. Okay, this is a company on the move. You're going down that path to, again, towards commercialization. You're kind of going up that ladder. It's being de-risked. We got all these different, as there's more data coming in and everything. So a lot of exciting, exciting weeks ahead potentially for Hoth.
Yeah, we look forward to updating the market as we get more information to us from our scientists and our partners that we're working with in developing these therapeutics. So as I said, June 24th, we have that KOL event. We hope to share that further data with the marketplace.
Okay, fantastic. Rob, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for the show, and we'll see you on the next one.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.